2025 NFL team previews. Minnesota Vikings. Vikings went over their regular season win total last year by 7 wins. Obviously, that was the most of any team, but it was also the most of any team in the past 20 years. The Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores combo was perfect. The roster, super talented, and that was all enough for quarterback Sam Darnold to flourish, at least until the playoffs where things got real. Their dream season ended in a 31-9 woodshed treatment type blowout loss to the Rams in the wild card round. Darnold took 9 sacks in that loss to the Rams. The Vikings now hand it over to J.J. McCarthy, and I like that they didn't fall in love with Sam Darnold. That freed up money to be spent better elsewhere. There's a lot of coaching continuity here with this staff, especially in a league where there's a lot of coaching changes at head coach, coordinator each year. Teams that don't have to install new systems every other year have an advantage. I mean, some quarterbacks in the league are going on their fourth offensive coordinator in 5 years. But of course, that alone doesn't mean they'll replicate the 14-win season from last year. Vikings won 14 games while going 9-1 in single-score games. In the past 25 seasons, there's only been 14 teams to have a win percentage of 90% or higher in single-score outcomes. Those teams win just 50% of their single-score games the following season. Furthermore, there's only been 18 teams in the last 25 years to win 85% or more of their close games. Only 5 of those teams went over their win total the next season. So the Vikings are going to have to try and avoid the regression monster this season, and they'll have to do it against a much tougher strength of schedule. Vikings played a league average schedule last year. Now this season, I have them tied for the second toughest overall strength of schedule. Based on my ratings, they'll play 8 teams I have rated in the top 10 and only play 3 teams I have rated in the bottom 10. Vikings will play a schedule of both the top 5 toughest offenses and defenses based on last year's final EPA numbers. No team is scheduled to face a tougher schedule of opponents at home than the Vikings. I do have Minnesota with an above league average home field advantage, but that's seriously going to be tested this year. Their road schedule is easier, of course, but that's kind of negated by having a first-year quarterback. Since 2013, first-year quarterbacks on the road are just 43% against the spread, 88 and 114. Vikings have a very interesting start to the season. They're going to play 4 games in the first 5 weeks in standalone primetime TV spots. Season opener, Monday Night Football against the Bears. Week 4, Vikings have a rare back-to-back road trip overseas. Steelers in Dublin, then short flight to London for Week 5 versus the Browns. Haven't seen many teams in road trips overseas, so can't draw any real conclusions about how this impacts them, but I'm more of a believer it affects teams more on their way back to the States, which Minnesota has their bye in Week 6 to get adjusted. But it's definitely going to be a welcome to the NFL for J.J. McCarthy. First 12 games, half of them are against playoff caliber teams, 2 overseas games, and then 3 primetime night games. I have the Vikings projected around 8 wins with their win total of 8.5, heavily juiced to the over. It's basically an implied odds of a 9-win team, so I can't get close to their over. And I know it's tough to project a team 5 games lower than their previous season wins, but I only have Minnesota true favorites in 4 games. And last year, they really played closer to a 12-win team. Not only when you remove turnovers, because Brian Flores has a lot to do with that. They led the NFL in turnovers forced with 33, had the most INTs by far, finished with the highest EPA gained from turnovers. But Vikings opponents also had the most false start penalties and committed the most defensive holding penalties. Vikings were number 1 in the NFL with 39 automatic first downs gained due to penalties. Justin Jefferson surely helped with that, of course. But I say they play closer to a 12-win team based primarily on a metric I use called fourth quarter win percentage over expectation. If you don't know what fourth quarter win percentage over expectation is, it's basically only credits teams for their performance over the majority of the game, removing the fourth quarter because the fourth quarter is so unpredictable. It has so much variance. Teams who are trailing, they go all out and start chasing and pushing it. Teams with the lead tend to change their style of play. The first 3 quarters have more accurate picture of how the teams match up. The blended version of this metric only removes the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Based on this, the Vikings won 2 more games than they should have, and 3 more games than they should have if you remove turnovers. But again, Flores and the defense schemed up a lot of that turnover stuff. Flores coached this defense to the second-ranked unit of EPA per play allowed. They added Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrove this offseason. Both are on the other side of their careers, but still good enough to be a pass rush unit. 2 new cornerbacks in the secondary, losing Gilmore and Shaq Griffin. Those spots are going to be filled by Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Okudah. Rodgers was okay as like a third cornerback with Philly last year, but Okudah's career numbers are well below average. But like a weak secondary is the least of a concern in a Flores defense. He's great at hiding weaknesses in the secondary. But the big offseason move is obviously at quarterback. Kevin O'Connell's shown that he can kind of make it work with several different talent levels at quarterback. And McCarthy's really the first quarterback O'Connell's going to have in Minnesota that has both arm talent and above average like athletic ability. Vikings added running back Jordan Mason as a sidekick to Aaron Jones, which can only help because the Vikings' run game was low key terrible last season. Negative 0.42 in EPA per rush in the red zone was worst in the league. Aaron Jones finished dead last among running backs in red zone rushing metrics, rush yards over expected, success rate, and EPA inside the red zone all last for the last season. Not that Jordan Mason is like a red zone beast, but his style is more suitable for like the scoring area. And I like that they used a top pick with like a big ugly up front on the offensive line, guard Donovan Jackson. I think he was a Buckeye. I'm not sure, but how quickly he's going to be able to be a positive impact is very important because along with the rest of the line, there are some issues. They get center Ryan Kelly and guard Will Fries away from the Colts in free agency, but both have the ability to click and play well together immediately, but both missed significant time last year with injuries. Fries played great in 5 games, but he fractured his leg and missed the whole season after that. All pro left tackle Christian Darrisaw, he's trying to come back from ACL tear. It's unclear if he's even going to be ready for week 1. So this offensive line has potential for improvement, but some things have to go right, and health is a major concern there. Now, I wouldn't argue with anyone who's high on this Vikings team. There's a lot to like, great coach, a lot of talent, but the problem now is they're expected to be a good playoff team. It's a lot different than when you're projected as a middle of the road team because I'm viewing this all from a betting perspective. And a team of like coming off 14 wins, you're not going to have much value on them. So, I mean, so much depends on McCarthy. He's really going to be tested the first half of the season with such a tough schedule in a tough division. I don't see anything worth playing at this point. And I am concerned about McCarthy behind an unstable offensive line. Constant pressure can really mess up a young QB's development. We've seen millions of cases of this. For those that are unaware, I run a free Discord community. If you don't know what Discord is, it's basically like a big group chat with different channel topics. But this year, I created a members only section within the Discord. This will be where I post bets I'm personally making and bets from pro betting groups I work with. This members only section is where you can get the downloadable link to my power packet, which is what I use for my game selection process, has my power ratings to price each matchup, advanced metrics, situational systems, and trends. I'm charging money to access this if you aren't already a member of the Discord. It works out to roughly $50 per month, but there's different price points. The free Discord invite link is in my bio. You can join for free, then DM me or comment and ask questions about how to get member access. For team previews, next up we got the New England Patriots. I hear the dynasty's back in New England, or at least that's how it seems, or what people are talking about around here. I'm not buying it, but until next time, good luck with your bets.